So, drawing a superhero arm. Now, I've done a video on drawing arms before, and put a link to it in the description of this video if you like. You can have a look at that more in depth. I will just quickly address a common mistake that I see quite often, especially when people are trying to draw a superhero arm. Okay, so mistake I saw was probably this. Which is not too bad. But what you've got here is an arm that's not that functional. Now, when it comes to looking at anatomy, there's two ways of doing this. Either you have a really in-depth knowledge of anatomy, or you have got a style that is convincing and you have a fair bit of observation. A good example of this is Leonardo da Vinci has an in-depth knowledge of anatomy. He cut people up, he could see how it works. Michelangelo has a really good knowledge of anatomy, but not quite the same level, and he goes on observation. And he also has this way of thinking in 3 dimensions. You almost see that on the drawings he does. So he draws directly from observation, whereas Leonardo just knows how it all works. A 20th century version of this, you could look at Bernie Hogarth, good one to look up. His Tarzan comes from a really good understanding of anatomy and how it works. But then look at Joe Kubik's work. He doesn't have the same in-depth knowledge of anatomy, but he knows how to make things look like they work. Both are great in their own way, but you can stylize stuff and get away with stuff, is what I guess I'm saying here. It's got to look like it's functional. Right. The problem with this arm is that this bicep here is bulging while the arm is straight. We don't want that. So the correction here, what I'll do here is I'll draw what it should look like, and then I'll explain why it should look like that. So, putting in here what's called the deltoid muscle, putting in the bicep there, tricep there, still doing it ridiculously big and superhero-ish. So the reason this works more than that, and it's not about how well I've drawn it, it's about this being round, this being flexed, and this not being flexed. The tricep should be bigger, and the bicep stretched that way. I can make it more ridiculous. Let's go here and knock that out. There's even another muscle in here, which I can pop in there. And bulge that right out. Do some more muscles here in the forearm, which are linking to the fingers. Pick one there. Can even sort of pop in some veins here. Okay, still going to work better than this because the right ones are flexing and the other ones are relaxed. So you think of superheroes, you're always sort of thinking of big biceps. But how does a bicep really work? If, right, 3 heads there. If I was to draw a superhero arm like this, what's happening to the bicep? As the arm goes like that, this bicep expands out that way. It actually bunches up to drag this arm forward here. Okay? What's happening with the tricep behind the arm is that is stretching out here. So when the arm goes down, you got the opposite happening. This time, the bicep's stretching out, and the tricep is bulging out there. Now, another thing I'd say about biceps is that sometimes they're very full, they go like from there to there. Sometimes you have what you call bicep gap, which is like that. So there's got this little gap there. And you'll sort of see this. It's one of those things that you just, like some people have big noses, some people have small noses, some people have a bicep gap there, some people don't. It's up to, if you're designing characters, it's one of those little things you can say, well, that character has a bicep gap and that character doesn't. One of those ways you can just make your characters look different. Hopefully this has been helpful. See you later.